Initially, when I started out with photography and videography, I started with Canon cameras. This is the Canon 6D. And over the course of 5 years, I purchased and invested a lot of money into Canon glass. Now, this Canon camera has a full frame sensor, so when you put any lens on it, you will get no crop factor. And it also has an EF lens mount, so I can only mount specific lenses to this camera. Now recently I bought this camera, the Panasonic G7, because I wanted a dedicated camera that could shoot 4K video. Now with this camera, it has a micro four thirds sensor compared to a full frame sensor. And because the sensor is smaller compared to a full frame sensor, you're going to get about a 2x crop factor. And in addition, you can only mount micro four thirds lenses onto Panasonic cameras. So that means I can't mount any of my Canon glassware to this camera. Well, at least at the moment. Now, I don't really feel like investing thousands of dollars on Panasonic lenses or micro four thirds lenses. So instead, my solution was to spend $700 on this Metabones Speed Booster. And this will attach to the Panasonic camera, just like that. And on the front part, I can attach my Canon EF lenses, which is just awesome. So that means I don't need to buy a whole suite of Panasonic or micro four thirds lenses. Now, in addition to that cool feature, there's 3 other awesome features with this speed booster. Remember I said that the Canon camera has no crop factor because it's a full frame camera? This camera has a micro four thirds sensor, and when you shoot 4K video, you get about a 2.34 times crop factor. So for example, if I attach a 50mm lens to this camera, I'm going to be zoomed in to a focal length of 117. And that's basically multiplying 50 times 2.34. Now, the speed booster is a focal reducer. So when I put this on my Panasonic camera, it's going to reduce the crop factor from 2.34 to about 1.5. So that means when I mount the same 50mm lens with the speed booster on the Panasonic camera, I will now get a focal length of about 75mm, so I'm not zoomed in as much anymore. Or for another example, if I put a 24mm lens on this camera with the 2.34 crop factor, I'm actually going to be shooting at 56mm. But with this, the speed booster attached to the Panasonic G7 or any Panasonic camera, I'm going to be shooting at a more comfortable 36mm. And now this will allow me to get wider shots, like landscape shots, and if I'm in a really tight space, it will allow me to get a nice wide shot, and I can get everything in my frame a little bit easier. The second benefit of this speed booster is it's going to allow me to increase my aperture by 1 1/3 stops. So that means I have a bigger aperture and that lets in more light, which will allow me to shoot at a lower ISO, and that will give me a cleaner image. And in addition, since I have a larger aperture, I can get a better shallow depth of field with this speed booster attached. The third benefit of this speed booster is it's going to allow communication between my lens and the Panasonic G7. So you're going to notice that there's electronic contacts on both sides of this Metabones Speed Booster. So this will allow me to control my aperture and focus from my camera, and in addition, it can communicate information about image stabilization. So if I didn't have these electronic contacts, I would have to manually control my focus, and I would also have to manually control my aperture. When you get the speed booster, it comes in this nice plastic hard carrying case. Inside, right in the middle, is the speed booster. To the right and left, there's 2 Allen keys. One is to remove this tripod foot on the bottom, and the other one is to remove this front ring. And in addition, you also get these rubber plugs that come in the carrying case. So here is the Metabones Speed Booster. There's a big warning label on it. Basically it says make sure you buy the right one, otherwise you can damage the shutter of your camera. This one, it will work for the Panasonic G7. It will also work for the Panasonic GH4, the new Panasonic Lumix G85, and I'm sure when the Panasonic GH5 comes out, the speed booster should also work for that camera too. So always make sure you buy the right speed booster. And if you have Nikon lenses, they also make a speed booster that will work with Nikon lenses. So in the front, this is where you will install your Canon lens. And on the back, you're going to attach this side to your Panasonic camera. On the side of the speed booster, there's some information about the model that I got. This little switch right here can toggle the aperture manually if you don't want to toggle the aperture through your camera. Here's a release switch where you can release your Canon lens. There's a USB port underneath this plug, which I assume you use to install like firmware updates. On the bottom is a tripod foot that you can remove if you want to. So that's pretty much what it looks like. In this video, I just wanted to share with you the benefits of having one of these speed boosters. You may be in a similar boat that I'm in. You may have a lot of Canon glass and you want to attach it to your Panasonic camera. Or if you also have a lot of Nikon glass, they also make a speed booster that works both ways. I'll leave a link in the description below to both a Canon and Nikon version. So if you would like to check it out or if you would like to purchase one, click on the link below. And in my next video, I'm going to be testing out the speed booster with some of these lenses. If you want to see me test out any particular one of these lenses, let me know in the comments. Maybe the one that gets the most replies first, I'll test that one out first. So I have the 70-200, the 85mm f1.8, the nifty 50 f1.8, and also the 24-70.